Every club. Every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hey everyone, welcome in. Happy Friday. It is me, Chris, and today, for the first time this week, we are not alone. That sounds like I'm talking about aliens. But we've had a lot of solo episodes this week as Man Flu strikes through the Daily Wolves team. But I'm not alone. Here today with me is Will. Hey, Will.
Yes, hello. As you said, it's my first appearance of the week as well. I've been battling away the old man flu. I'm coming out the brighter end of the tunnel now, at least.
Yeah.
Can see the light.
Yeah, well, yeah, we all know that out of darkness cometh light. And we were saying before we hit record, the stuff going around right now, it's that time of the year. I know this is a football podcast, but it is autumn is fully in swing, and everyone I know practically has had some form of cold or another, so we've all been struck down.
Look, be safe out there, people. It's a public service announcement from Daily Wolves, that is.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, whatever you think of it, just remember some of those precautions from COVID. It still matters.
You know something? I know this is completely irrelevant, but I was tempted to wear a mask the other day when I was out. I didn't, but I was tempted to.
No, I know what you mean. I've thought about it a few times recently when I've been not feeling great because I don't want to pass it on, to people, especially with less, a less strong immune system. Not that I'm by any means strong in the immune system, clearly not, as I'm suffering. And but also just because people are so close again that we're getting off on a tangent. But I feel like it is just like wildfire all over again. But there we go. I don't want to go down the medical rabbit hole.
We'll nip that one in the bud.
Yeah. Mrs. Chris works in the NHS, so I'll hear all about that another time. All right then. So we should finally get off that tangent and talk about football. Chris. Yeah. Just to
sorry, carry on.
That's how we roll over here. All right. So before we go into what's some of the recent news and looking ahead to the weekend, because this is Will's first appearance of the weekend, I just want to get some thoughts from you, Will, on the previous game against Man City, because obviously I gave my review or thoughts from the game on earlier in the week, and then Nathan did the same on his solo episode. So it's your chance to shine, and just I'm sure the people want to know, what have you got anything left to bring to the conversation, or any thoughts you want to share after you've listened to us two ramble?
I wouldn't say I've got anything left to bring in terms of anything too different. I mean, it was clearly a good performance, and better than we have been for the rest of the season. The only sort of, I suppose, the elephant in the room is, I mean, I've been saying it, now we've all been saying it for a few weeks, I've been saying it for what feels like since the start of the season, is why has it taken so long for him to revert to this back five? Because it's a system that clearly works, and I think we were unlucky. I think I do want to give my thoughts on, just because it was a conversation that I had with someone at work on a Monday, was the goal and the VAR situation, all of that. The worst part of it for me was actually being at the game. Obviously, it's 90 whatever minute. They score, everyone gets up, starts making their way out, and then you just hear the referee blow and the linesman flag, and then there was just no communication until the decision was made. And I think that's the thing that annoys me the most, is that sort of just being in the unknown, actually being there at the game. But aside from that, sort of it was as predicted, really. The back five worked to a certain extent. I mean, I know we lost, but I think it's safe to say that we gave a good account of ourselves in comparison to the Brentford game, especially.
Yeah.
So it's going to have to be the way forward.
Yeah, it was. I get what you mean. They were supposed to have done a bunch of improvements this season in terms of communication between VAR and the ground and all of that, but I think it is still needs a lot of work to really be to improve. And also, did you notice they made a point on Match of the Day too? I think it was about the delay in terms of the reaction from the Wolves bench. They timed it. They put a clock on. It was something like 30 seconds between the Man City goal, and their kind of uproar. As we all know, the way that they work very much is, I think they were watching the replay in the dugout. I think they were waiting for a replay to be sure that what they were going to say was accurate. That's the vibe I got, because it looked like they were all crouching around watching something, and then they confirmed it in the replay, and that's when they started appealing.
Yeah, I also, it just also wasn't offside. I know that sounds like a very clear and obvious thing to say, but watching the game, as I said, everyone reacted, getting up, leaving, or however you reacted at the time. Everyone just saw it as a goal, and that was that. And I know we've already gone off on a tangent at the start of recording. I'm going to try not to do one here as well. But I think there's an easy fix here, which is just switch VAR off. Right? Just switch the thing off, and then we just, we don't have the issue in the first place. We can just, get on with the game. I know that sounds like so archaic of me to say, but I think that sort of, is why the reaction from everyone, coaching staff, players, and fans was so delayed, because it was, just such a minute thing. In all honesty,
yeah, and if it was missed, I did go on a bit further in depth, so I won't repeat it all now about the whole situation and the inconsistencies and all of it. So if you want to hear more discussion on that whole VAR debacle, then it's in the episode I released at the beginning of the week. But so that's what's happened. That's Will's thoughts on the last weekend's game. Now, in that earlier in the week, we learned about the FA wanting to talk to Gary O'Neill about his post-match comments, which again we mentioned. Since then, the breaking news today is that the Wolves sporting director Matt Hobbs has been charged by the FA for allegedly his comments in the tunnel to the match officials.
Yeah, well, he's had previous, hasn't he, Hobbs? I kind of like it. I think, a bit of edge, but ultimately doesn't help us.
No,
does it really?
No, nothing helps. And again, it just always feels like, I mean, because he did have words with someone last season, I believe. After that might have even been the West Ham game. That might be where it's all related.
Yeah.
Off the top of my head, I think it was. Today's statement reads, I'll read the most important part. Matt Hobbs allegedly acted in an improper manner and/or I love how they put and/or used abusive words towards the match officials around the tunnel area after the final whistle. He has until Monday, 28th of October to respond. It is, and then just as an update, that this is not the quote, this is just continuing. It is the second time in less than a year Hobbs has been charged with misconduct. So yeah, last time it was a one-game stadium suspension and a £4,000 fine. So I presume it'll be at least that, and probably more, as it's the second in the space of a year.
Yeah, but as I said, I mean, the fine's not an issue for the guy, is it? Let's be honest, it's not going to matter. The stadium ban, again, it's not going to affect our performance on the pitch. If anything, I think, can I have one? It's because I don't see how that's a punishment lately.
No, I think as I mentioned again in my rant, actually no, I think I was quite calm. It wasn't a rant, but it was my thoughts earlier in the week is that all of this, all it does is flip the focus from where it should be on the referees and the FA, and just being more open about the consistency and what the differences are in the decisions and why, and all of their explanations that we want. It flips all of the focus away from them, because the focus is now back on them moaning at Gary O'Neill about his comments, and now Matt Hobbs' comments in the tunnel. Fair enough, he shouldn't be swearing. It doesn't say swear, but you would assume that given abusive words towards match officials, that's probably something like that. But you can understand their frustration after all the decisions last season, and then all of this stuff is just flipping. It feels like it just turns all of the onus back on Wolves, as opposed to the FA and the refereeing officials
Yeah.
having to explain themselves.
No, yeah, it's a very good point, and I think that's been missed. I don't know if you've seen it, and I've certainly not seen an explanation from those in authority about how or why the decision against West Ham and this one is any different. And if I've not seen it, if I've missed it, I'm not sure. But if I've not seen it, then I dare say if they've not come out with one, or at least it's not been spoken about publicly now, then it's never going to happen.
No, I don't know if it's been on that. I forget what that thing is where Michael Owen stands next to one of them, and they ponce around giving excuses about the refereeing decisions.
Michael Owen stands. Wait.
I'm sure there is.
I've not seen that.
Yeah. I'm sure.
It doesn't surprise me, but yeah, I can picture it. Yeah.
I forget the name of the top not the episode, whatever that section of a show is. Yeah,
something like that. Yeah.
Anyway, I'm sure that's scintillating, but yeah, that's usually where these things come out, and I haven't seen anything because I think, like, as I say, with all of this stuff, it's just going to get brushed under the carpet. All we know is that what Gary Neal said that they told him immediately at the game was that it's because the line of sight was not obscured, but that's not the reason they gave before. So, in terms of the West Ham game last season, so it just doesn't make any sense.
I'm gonna, if I give any more thoughts on it, then I'll be getting a fine and a podcast ban.
Yeah,
just like Hobbs. So yeah, I think less said the better.
All right then. So let's focus on one other thing that kind of from his Gary Neal's post-match comments. Now, one of the reporters asked him if was complimenting quite rightly Jose Sar's immense performance because he put in some fantastic stops, man of the match, and really, I was so happy that he was in the lineup at first. Before I heard the illness of Johnston, I was like, wow, he's not just gone for a back five, he's really switched things up. But no, it was kind of a forced swap. Maybe maybe the illness is a blessing in disguise because it gave him the opportunity to put Sarr in. Whatever you think of that, but Sarr puts in an amazing performance, and someone says in the interview that he must have given you a headache, and he comes out saying how it's no headache at all, blah blah blah, absolutely no headache, and the smile on his face and the look of just like no headache to me, and the intonation I got from the whole section was that almost like it doesn't matter what Sarr did today. I know who my number one is. That's I might have been misreading it. I might have totally misread it.
Right.
That's the vibe I got. And yet, for me, the man who just came in form, like back into form, because yes, he wasn't great beforehand, but like had a stellar game, is Sarr. Arguably, I would say he should start the next game. Now, whether Johnson's fit or not, what do you think?
Yeah, the first thing I want to pick up on is that point that you made about O'Neill's sort of attitude in the way in which he answered the question. And I think it's that same attitude and arrogance that's cost us so far this season. I think the arrogance and stubbornness to not be able to accept that he's been wrong, in his tactics. That's the only sort of reason I could think of as to why it's taken him this long to not change to a back five. But that sort of, that attitude has really, really made him go down in my estimations, as you well know. And it's just annoying because I'm just disappointed in him for that. And yeah, you quite rightly sort of, seem to infer that it looks as though Johnson's going to be straight back in the starting 11 and Sarr's going to be dropped and treated harshly again. And I think that's a joke. I think if you can't drop Sarr on that performance, he's going to, but you shouldn't and you can't. And if you do, you shouldn't be able to get away with it. It annoys me because I think the reason Sarr looked so good was because we weren't playing out from the back.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't putting him under pressure to give it Totti on the edge of his own box when he's got a man closing him down and no one to pass it to. We weren't doing that, which again, Gabby, I could have told you, 5 weeks ago. But you take that out of the game plan, and I don't see how Johnson can be a better goalkeeper than Saab, because by that logic, the only issues I think people ever had with Star was the ball at his feet.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's not into action, I think in terms of like pure, being a shot stopper and oh yeah, stopping the ball from going in the net, that's Sar can be great at it, and he showed that for us
Yeah.
on yeah. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it probably helps him that he's got actual competition now. As much as
Mm,
Bentley's great in the dressing room, at least
yeah,
even underperforming, Johnston is more competition. That's fair enough, and so that probably helps. The reassurity of a back five also probably helps, because just more
yeah,
solidity
yeah.
all round. It got to make him more confident, because that's the system he's more used to. But whatever other reasons impacted him, I agree that I don't think he should be dropped on that performance. I think it's his shirt to lose again, and I hope don't get me wrong. I hope we are wrong. I hope
Mm,
that he is played, and we're like here next week going fantastic. That was great. Well done for keeping him.
yeah,
But like you, I don't. If Johnston is fit, I think he'll go straight back in,
yeah.
which is
But he
frustrating.
shouldn't.
But he shouldn't. Let's
Yeah,
just make that note. But he
yeah,
shouldn't. At
yeah,
least not on his current performances, and how Sarr. If Sarr stayed and then goes back to having some bad games, fair enough. Swap him back out. That's the beauty of at least having him still here.
yeah. Having that competition, yeah.
Now, before we go any further, I should, of course, because we've been getting carried away here with all of the things that we need to discuss. I should remind everyone that here at the Global Sports Podcast Network, we spent a lot of time selecting our delivery platform. Zencastr came out the clear winner, with 4K video recording from your phone and AI editing that automatically removes all those ums and ahs. It's super easy to start a podcast that sounds great and apparently is not delivered efficiently if I can't speak properly. I like to leave these things in. If you're ready to tell your story, check out the link in the show description to learn more about Zencastr. All right, well, the other question I wanted to put to you in regarding not necessarily the play, well, we can get into the players and who we think will be in the lineup, but obviously we discussed, if you remember, before the Man City game, of whether it would be a 5-3-2 or a 5-2-3 of some formation,
Mm,
and I said I would, against anyone else, I would like to see the two holding and then the three up front, or like two wingers and the front man, however you want to formulate it. But against Man City, I could respect the fact that we would go with the existing three, more defensive
yeah,
minded midfielders, which we did, and I think against them that's fair enough. But what do we want to see against Brighton? Still a really, really good team, mind.
yeah. I'd be tempted to keep it the same. Although I really like Carlos Forbes. I
Mm,
really, really want to see him get more game time. But and don't get me wrong, I think if you take the game in isolation, then of course, like you said, against anyone else, you know, you want to see the two holding and those three up front, who I assume you would agree with putting Kuno on the left and having Forbes on the right and Strand Larson through the middle. I assume that'd be your three.
yeah, I think at the moment, given the form we've seen, I mean, we haven't seen enough of Rodrigo Gomez recently to have any
No,
input on
no.
him. But so, given what we've seen in recent games, yeah, Forbes and Cunha on the wings.
Yeah. So I think, yeah, based off that, I'd be happy with that. I'd be very, very, very happy with that. But I am just in the back of my mind, it's niggling away at me that, you know, we lost at the weekend
Hmm.
again.
Hmm.
We've still only got 1 point.
Hmm.
You know, 1 point would be everything right now. And three would be great. But either way, we can't lose. We simply can't afford to lose again. Um, and so that's I'd be kind of tempted to yeah, stick with the same shape.
Yeah, I feel like in the league, at least, I feel like Brighton have over recent years have very much been a bit of a bogey team for us. We've had some real
Yeah.
beatings at the hands of them. Was it 5-1 at home early last season or the one before? I remember,
Was it?
and then we lost
I tell
away.
you what, I remember also like not just having um, bad games against them, but just the most boring games I've ever watched.
No,
It's been painful.
yeah, it was early. I'm sure it was early last season. It was when in the first few
Mm,
games we tried to again. O'Neill tried to play the back four before he shifted, and it was when Kilman and Dawson got ripped apart at the back, and it was like 5-1
yes.
because I remember.
Was that Matoma?
Yeah, yeah, I think so. I remember I was sat in.
Yeah. It's coming back to me
Yeah,
now.
I was
Yeah,
in the North Bank,
yeah.
so I saw a bunch of the goals. It was really sad. um, and then, but then the season before, I think it was under Lopetegui towards the end of that season, losing like 6-1 or 6-2 away or something. We've had some real
Mm,
batterings at them. So anyway, my point was going to be that I feel like they're a great team. I feel like away, particularly, it's just I feel like at least the first half maybe go three in the midfield and batten
yeah,
down the hatches a little. See if we can do like Man City, get another goal early or something, but with more solid base. But then if later in the game we're needing to chase it a bit, then by all means take one off and put a more attack, another attacker up front.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Or like I said, I can see it going the other way around. Um, a classic phrase I always use, going back to the Nuno days, and I use this in all walks of life actually. Little metaphorical, just put the donk on, put the donk on.
Put the
You
dunk
sort
on.
of just put the donk on, just tighten up the ship.
Mm-hmm.
I can see it going that way. I can see, Tommy Doyle coming on like he did, maybe not at half time, but yeah, if we manage to nick a goal or two in the second half, and we want to then just keep that solidity, I can see it playing out like that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it could go reverse. You start with the two, be more attacking, try and get the lead, and then put the
Mm,
three on to try and solidify. I could see it going either way. The sad thing is we have these discussions every week, and I think it's just going to be the same three, and I think it's going to be pretty much the
yeah,
same because that seems to be once he's
look,
found his formation. Then if he
mm,
stays with the five, that I think he won't change it
as long as we don't lose.
as long as we don't lose.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're thinking it's going to be pretty much the same then across. I mean, the back five is, fingers crossed if everyone's fit, it's sealed. I mean, there is no
Well,
real shift in that.
yeah, I'm glad you've given me this opportunity to speak
Oh yes,
publicly about him.
I've been thinking about this all week.
Santiago.
All week.
Yeah, wow, I was just so happy, just just to see him on the pitch, and after a good solid international break, and he didn't look out of place at all. In fact, was it? I might be getting carried away here, but was it him who played the ball through um, when we grabbed our goal
Yeah, he
to
put
start
a
off the attack?
beautiful ball out to Semedo on the right flank. It was lovely.
Look, I just think everything he does is magic.
Yeah,
He's possibly the best footballer I've ever seen. And I just want to point out again. This is just more anti O'Neill stuff from me. And I'm wary of going a bit overboard with it. But O'Neill's the man who decided to bench him
hmm
consistently, give him no game time,
hmm
and also bench Dawson, by the way, for tactical reasons at the start of the season. He deemed Dawson not good enough to start. So, you know, I just want to put that out there. I just think, you know, that needs to be spoken about because I don't think I've forgiven O'Neill for that since then. Not just the Bueno thing, but I feel like everyone often overlooks that.
the
It's not just a shift to a back five, it's the fact that um, yeah, neither of those two were playing previously.
Yeah, the Bueno thing I get. The Dawson thing, I think that was an element. Do we know for sure there was none of it that was like him recovering from his groin surgery end of last season? Or because was there an element
Well,
of
I,
being
I
weaned
can't
back
remember
in?
what I can't remember what um, sort of game time he got in pre-season. To be honest with you, but it was a good few games. If you what game was it he came back in?
Oh gosh, now you're asking
Was
me
it
questions. Well,
Forest? I
it
want to say Forest,
might have been. It was definitely 3 or 4
where
games
we
in.
got our one
Yeah, I think
points.
it might. Yes,
Um,
yes, yeah.
yeah, and it just blows my mind to think about that.
Yeah. And you know what? While we're on the defense, and it's just made me think about Jose Sarr again as a point that clearly matters. I was playing eFootball earlier. Jose Sarr is rated higher than Sam Johnson on eFootball. So there you go, folks. It's
Well, there we
confirmed.
go.
It's
There we
confirmed.
go. That sorts it then, doesn't
It does
it?
sort it. But yeah, Santi played that beautiful ball out to Semedo for the goal. And all I was thinking was, I should have messaged you. I was thinking, Will. And then earlier today, I was scrolling Twitter and someone had just posted a picture of Santi Bueno. I was scrolling the hashtag WWFC as you do. And someone had put a picture of Santi Bueno, and all it said above it was our best defender.
It wasn't me,
It
was
wasn't you.
it?
No.
No, yeah. Well, look. He's obviously got quality.
Mhm.
I think that was all sort of obvious or taken as read when we signed him. You know, from the football that he played before joining Wolves, and it's nice that we're getting to see it on the pitch, and long may it continue.
Yeah. The good thing is the good thing is in these losses, I think I mentioned the other day, we are still scoring goals. At least it would be even worse if
Yeah.
we weren't. But the fact that we've been scoring, hopefully, we take that into the months ahead, which we were going to look to briefly because, if we weren't scoring going into this key crunch month of November, it would be even more scary. But Strand
Mm.
Larsen, when he gets the ball in the box, has shown he can put it away. I mean, a couple of
Yes.
lovely finishes recently. And this after Brighton, which obviously I hope we get points, but we know it's going to be a tough game. I'll take a draw. I'll just take anything. Give me, I want the win, but just give me
I kind of want. Wait, sorry.
go.
I kind of want to lose so that O'Neill gets sacked. Just putting that out
Such a
there.
cruel man. But so after, I hope we get something from Brighton. But after that, the crunch month, Will, and everyone out there, is clearly November. And we got 2 key home games. 2nd of November at home, Crystal Palace. And then
Hmm.
the 9th of November at home, Southampton, back to back. Whatever happens whatever happens at Brighton, and whatever happens with the manager, that is in terms of Wolves,
Yeah. Yeah.
like going into the Christmas season, that
Yeah.
period, and then the 23rd of November, our next game away to Fulham, like 3 massive games. November is crunch.
Yeah.
Actually, and I've missed
Yeah.
one, 30th of November at home, Bournemouth. The next 4 games after Brighton are our season. Effectively, is going to shape
Yeah.
our
They
season.
are massive. They are massive. I mean, from Palace and Southampton, at least, I think there needs to be 6 points
Hmm.
from those two. I think anything less than that, and I will be worried. And there's no good. We can't use the City excuse of we gave a good account of ourselves, but we were unlucky at the end, and so on and so forth. We can't say we deserved a point against those two. We need to earn it and get it. It's that simple for those types of games, because already, like you said, those sort of games, they are now our season. It is getting that extreme, and that critical already. Um, and then Fulham, you'd like to think again, if you play with that solid back five, you'd like to think you can go to the likes of Fulham and, like you said, Bournemouth, and get 3 points.
Hmm.
With the quality we have going forward. So yeah, I'd be happy with the 6 against Southampton and Palace though, but I still think even that's going to be difficult.
Yeah, I mean, I was reading some stats the other day. It was something like Bournemouth last season didn't get a win until something like 8 or 9 games in, and ended up finishing, was it 12th or 13th? So
Mm,
there is hope. There is hope, but November is huge. So it's Crystal Palace, Southampton,
yeah.
Fulham, Bournemouth, and then if we look, can you first 4th of December going into December? Who do you reckon's next? Can you remember who's next without looking at the fixture list? Another big one.
I can't.
After Bournemouth comes Everton.
Oh, come on.
So,
Come on, Gary.
yeah.
Come on. Yeah, you'd like to think that those games are made for players, I think, like Strand Larson and Cunha up front. I think as long as we maintain our structure and sort of graft and put in the hard work, both tactically, mentally, and physically, I think our attackers can bring their quality in to win us those games. And yeah, I just hope that happens.
Yeah, I think we, I keep saying it. I mean, I've had. I don't get me wrong. I've been depressed and I've lost some optimism. We know we've seen the downfall over the last few weeks, but I look at that period of games and I have faith that
Yeah,
we've got players there that can do damage. Without doubt.
yeah.
So there's hope. Before we go into what we think the result will be this weekend, just remind everyone that this podcast is part of the Global Sports Podcast Network, the only network bringing you exclusive daily news and views on your Premier League team, the Premier League, women's football, and fantasy football. A unique listening experience that puts fans first. Bring you the very latest breaking news from your team. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and make us your first listen every day. Global Sports Podcast Network, every club, every day.
Every day.
Yes. All right. Well, so we've kind of beat around the bush a bit in terms of what the formation might be and who's going to play or what we'd like to see, even though we don't think it's going to change. But the be all and end all is, what do you think? What's your prediction for the weekend?
My prediction is a 2-0 victory.
Wow.
Yeah, maybe too optimistic, especially more optimistic than usual. I'm going to tell you how it's going to unfold, Chris,
Okay.
since you asked so
I'm
kindly.
ready.
It's going to be similar to Man City in terms of that sort of low block, as they say, and Strand Larsen's going to get us another goal again, and we're going to be hanging on to that. We're going to be hanging on to it whilst Brighton pile the pressure on. And whilst they're doing that, late on when they're really trying, Bueno is going to clear the ball and it's going to fall perfectly through to Carlos Forbes, who runs completely free in the Brighton half and finishes it off for us. And that's what's happening. And I know I won't accept any otherwise.
Well, I mean, it's a hell of a story, and I hope it comes true because the tale I'm going to tell you is more desperate and grim. So it's going to be, it's going to start. Well, first half at some point, we'll concede an early goal. Brighton will go 1-0 up, and we'll be on the edge of our seat thinking it's the end of the universe. And then in like the 93rd minute, Mateus Cunha will get an equaliser. We'll come away with 1 point.
Yeah, look, having said that, and neither of us have said a loss, I do just want to point out that if we do lose and O'Neill is still in the job for the next game, I think that's bonkers.
Right.
Absolutely bonkers. But time will tell. Time will tell.
Do you think, on that note, if he was still in the job after Brighton, say we lose to Brighton, just as we're on this tangent, if we then face Crystal Palace at home on the 2nd of November and he loses that game, that's got to be it, right? That's got to be it.
Yeah.
I can't
like
see,
1,000,000%.
I can't see
1,000,000%. I'd rather. What's Mick McCarthy up to at that rate? Do you know what I mean? Like, surely. But we'll see. Hopefully we win both of those and the tide starts turning. Sorry, I don't know why I'm being optimistic. I don't know what that was from me there.
No, because my only other thought was, and just I'm sorry, guys, out there, but these are the conversations that people need to be thinking of. There's a gap. I think, is it another international break between the 9th of November when we play Southampton and away to Fulham on the 23rd? So my thought was, have they, when they didn't make any moves, after the previous batch, thought, let's give him till the next international break?
Potentially,
because two of those, the home games against Palace and Southampton, are arguably ones they will have said, right, those are 3 points, got to be 3 points. And so, I mean, as in each. And so are they gonna shift I would mark an international break as a change period, right?
Yeah, I get that.
So Just putting it out there. Just putting it out there that
Yeah.
that could be the period.
Yeah, but I also just want to say, even if I would still get rid of him. I understand that there might be not be able to bring in another manager instantly, but I remember when Steve Davis was the interim coach a couple of years
Mm-hmm.
back. I mean, that was appalling, bless him, but fair play to him. But I'd take that. Do you know what I mean? Just for one game and one game only.
Yeah, I mean,
Just anything.
for all he did, at least Steve Davis, he introduced us to Hugo Bueno. So
Yes, yes. Who we've now just forgotten
I
about
know.
apparently. But look, that's a whole story for another day.
It is. All right, everyone. Well, fingers crossed everything for the weekend, quite frankly,
Yes,
because
yes,
we need a point at least. I'll just take anything at this
yeah.
stage. We've had a lot to think about, VAR, goalkeepers, formations, or the rest of it, and what the lifespan is for Gary Neal. But that being said, enjoy your weekend. Try to stay clear of viruses, and if you need to, wear a mask. And remember, everyone, out of darkness cometh light. Take care.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.